Morning everyone, and thank you to the organisers for the invitation. I think Carmel has duped us slightly when we talk about coming to rural Ireland. I live in rural Ireland, but I don't have views like this, I can tell you. So I think she's duped us slightly. And I would also say that I really second a lot of what our previous speakers have said. And I only met Davy this morning briefly, just for the first time, and Davy won't know this. But when I talk in anywhere I go, we talk about how we're commissioned for services, and healthcare trusts will commission us for services, and they'd say, we'll contract you for a dementia cafe in Omagh, which is a central town, and we'd like 20 people to be at that, 10 people with dementia and 10 people who are affected by dementia who support them. And my question is, what about the 3 people in Rosslea in County Fermanagh? And actually some of these days I'm going to go to Rosslea because I don't actually know if there's even 3 people there with dementia, but those people who live in very rural counties struggle with how do they get to that main town? How do they get? And as Nancy said, it's the walk down the lane onto the country road, to get down the road, to get to a bus, to take you into a central bus station, and the dementia cafe is then the best end of half a mile to a mile on the other side of the town anyway. So that's the kind of challenges. One of the things in the Alzheimer Society that we're very aware of, and I'm sure every one of you in this room are saying the same thing, and Pat mentioned our politicians and our lobbying, we all know that we have health services that are creaking at the joints, at the knees of it, at the elbows of it, at the shoulders of it, and going forward we are not going to be able to continue and sustain and provide service for the numbers of people that are coming forward. Northern Ireland alone, we have over 20,000 people with dementia. But ironically, on average, about 65% of them have a diagnosis, so about 65% of them can access services. Now, what other life-limiting condition would find that acceptable? They wouldn't. What would happen if we only diagnosed 65% of the people who had cancer? What would happen if we only diagnosed 65% of strokes? So we need to be changing how we look at things. And one of the initiatives that we are working on is supporting people in their own community. So dementia-friendly communities. What is a community? A community is whatever the person with dementia says it is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a town of a certain size, a village of a certain size. It can be where they live. It can be a nursing home. It can be the village. It can be whatever. But it is what the people with dementia say it is. So the aim really is about challenging stigma and ensuring that people with dementia can remain in their own communities as valued citizens for longer. We don't argue the point that there comes a time when some people are unable to remain in that community and do have to move to a new community. But if we can, as people, and every one of us in this room has more than one role. We might be someone with dementia, but we are a sister, we are a partner. We may be a nurse, but we're a mother, we're a sister, we're a brother. We all have another role that we can influence other people to get involved. And you've heard the word movement several times this morning. And let's challenge this. And if each one of us took our knowledge to one other person, imagine the impact that we would have. Imagine the difference that we could make. And Davy talked about going for the newspaper even being difficult. Well, actually, what if when Davy was going to get the newspaper and he was struggling maybe and needed a bit more time, or anyone who was going in to buy a pint of milk and was that bit slower with their change, what if the person behind the counter understood their predicament a bit better? So let's look at the network of convenience stores. Let's look at the post offices, the transport infrastructure. One of the first group of people that were trained in Northern Ireland was 2,400 TransLink drivers, bus and train drivers. They were the first people. And I never ever get in a taxi, because I'm from rural Northern Ireland. I drive an hour and a half to get to Belfast. And every time I get into a taxi, and I say who I work for, the taxi man will say, I take somebody to a day centre. I take somebody home after they've been in their daughters. So there's the taxi men, and there's so many people who can be involved. And for me, there's 2 things: dementia-friendly communities and our younger people. If we start the awareness at this stage, life is simpler and better when more people are aware and more people understand. Let's make it when everyone understands. And if we start at school level, and we have resources which, if you go on the Alzheimer Society website, There's no reason why they can't, don't reinvent the wheel, that they can't be used in schools here in the Republic or in Wales and in other parts. And we have resources that can go into primary schools and into second level schools. The sooner children of this age don't think that it's strange and people are behaving strange, the sooner we will get rid of stigma, the sooner we will get rid of, the sooner we will introduce an acceptance. Currently we have delivered over 1,000 workshops. Those workshops can be to any group, can be to any area of the country. There is nothing stopping us. There is nothing stopping any one of you in this room becoming a dementia-friendly communities champion. Nothing. Do the couple of hours training and give it back into your community. Davy said he was 55. I'm 53. I know that I'm not worried about the service that my mother is going to get. I have to think about the service that I'm potentially going to need and that my nieces and nephews are potentially going to need. So there is an onus on every one of us to get out there and to push it and improve the impact. We have created 16,000 dementia friends, trained 170 different dementia-friendly communities. They're just all over Northern Ireland. But for me, and I explained this to a young colleague, many of you in the room will remember acetates, where we used to have something on an overhead projector, and I was saying, so let's put down another acetate and mark all the places that were not. And he looked at me and said, what's an acetate? So he very kindly put it on this computer for us. But we really need to be looking at where we have the gaps now and increasing that. So our outcomes is really looking at understanding the knowledge of dementia and very importantly, increasing the confidence. Increasing the confidence that people affected by dementia can come up to events like this, can stand in front of you without any fear of ridicule or worry, or even worry of not being able to manage to the end of their presentation. What they have to say is exceptionally important, and we will learn something every day we meet someone with dementia. It's a free of charge, volunteer-led, how should I put it, movement is the best way of putting it. And it's supporting individuals, as I say, within their own community and including their own peer support, people like Danny here, Davy, Agnes and Nancy. So in order just to move our presentation forward, because I'm conscious Danny and I are before you in your coffee, I would like to introduce you to Danny Brown. Danny is a great ambassador for lots of organisations who are dealing with and supporting people with dementia across Northern Ireland. Danny has also travelled quite recently and spoken at a conference in Berlin to be able to share his experience. So without further ado, I introduce you to Danny Brown.
Good morning, everyone. I have a different angle on dementia. I'm 75. I was 38 years in sales and marketing for both BP and Texaco, so I know the length and breadth of Ireland and Scotland. 2008, I said to my doctor, I'm forgetting. He's a long-term friend. And he said, Danny, you have too much going on in your head. You're selling billions of pounds of fuel. You have the problem of getting paid. You'll be all right. 2009, I was fishing on the river Ballina, and I got what I could only explain like a dart into the top of my skull, my right side. It took me 2 days to get home. I stopped in Sligo because I stayed with a B&B who I'd stayed with for 15 years. I got home, seen a doctor, and I was immediately put on 3,500 milligrams of aspirin. And that started a process which has been going on now from 2014 until today. Very, very difficult to take on board the changes in your life. I knew most of my customers by name. I can hardly remember my own name at times. And yes, I moved to a very dark place. It was always going to be the easiest option, because if you can imagine where I live, this is my apartment, and the back wall is the Derry to Belfast train. And I often said, what time of the day now will we meet it? Will we meet it on its first run at 6? Or will I wait till it's dark? The family were very, very concerned. Bright and bubbly dad who got them through all their schooling, earned a very good salary every year. My son rang the Alzheimer Society. And within 2 days or 3 days, I had a visit from a lady by the name of Valerie, who looks after Antrim, Ballymena. She talked to me, she told me about the resources, the support, the help. Everything that I needed at that given time to keep me breathing. I still go back there occasionally, because life's getting very difficult. I do my own. I wash, cook, I iron, I vacuum, I dust, and I keep myself clean. Alzheimer's then directed me to a beautiful old garden belonging to the Health Authority in Antrim. A walled garden who someone spent a lot of money on at one time. Every tree has a disc of its age, of its life, of who planted it, all in total disarray. I had become a very professional gardener in all those years. I met it on Christmas Day, I met it on Boxing Day, I met it every day. I spend an hour, I spend 5. We have also the use of, we have 7 other men and 8 women, 3 who were all head mistresses of schools. This disease has no boundaries. But what hurts me the most and haunts me every morning in my life, I covered all of Ireland, right up to the Troubles, to the peace now. I was first on the scene of dead bodies at the border. I had a soldier examining my driving licence, the village of Pomeroy. He disappeared behind me, and then I heard the crack of the gun. Radio operator had a big radio on his back. We were outside the Catholic church, and he sailed over the wall. And I lay down. You don't forget those things. I was in Uri. I had something like £500,000 on me to lodge. Office was on the phone. Get that into the line. And I went into Uri, parked the car. It was a normal day, just like today. People was humdrum. And when I come out of the bank, I said to myself, right, make a phone call. Money's mine. And I looked down the street, and just about that mirror level at the back, I watched a lad, or a man, in a butcher's uniform. 3 policemen, it was a burning hot day. Did the cars of the bulletproof vehicles line open. They were sitting in there eating ice creams. And he walked over. And he just went biff, 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 dropped the gun, took all his clothes off, and walked away. That haunts me every morning about 4 o'clock. My psychologist will no longer put me under hypnosis because she doesn't know if I'm ever going to come out of it. That's what I live with. This is now what I've got. I've got a garden. I have access to it 24 hours a day. I'm in it every day. Every day that God gives me, I'm into the garden with a pen and paper. And I would write notes. That would be nice. That would be nice. Do this. Always to be told, no money. So anyone knows me, and from I've been in television, I've had phone calls from something like 17 counties of Ireland. People that I got to know over 20 years, and the first thing they would say to me, thought you were dead. Or should have been dead by now. It's terrific. People ringing me from way back. That's where my memories are, not today. I probably not even remember what I'm telling you about, and I can drift off here and there. I have my garden, and it is my garden. I plant the bulbs at random, and people will say, what's in there, Danny? Don't know. Haven't a clue. But I made a point of counting. I had 80 tulips. I had 130 of the very earliest crocus, daffodils into their hundreds. There's not a day I go down to the garden that someone has bought in the town shop 5 bulbs. They don't give it to me, they throw it over the fence. Really, honestly, without the Alzheimer Society, and my family know this, because I would let them take second place at times. This organisation is keeping me alive. This lady has never heard any of this. My children don't know the half of what I've seen, been experienced to death threats. Supplying a builder who was doing a repair at a police station. I was part of that system by putting fuel in, so I was supporting the British war machine. I was automatically targeted. Every 6 months my number plates were changed. Didn't make any difference. I still got the phone calls. You're a dead man walking. But that's all in the past. That is all in the past. I still dream, because they won't go away. But I'm here, not begging, pleading. We've got to change the perception of what you're looking at. It's not who that person is. He's something different, and he has his own story to tell. Thank you very much for your time.